Hi, welcome to our first video lesson. Today we are going to work with the reading comprehension skill. But before we begin, I wanted to say to each one of you, hi. I hope you're really good, that you are taking care of yourselves and that you are staying home. I miss you so much. I hope to see you very soon. Okay, let's begin. The five-finger retelling technique is a reading comprehension skill, but it is also a writing skill. This can help us to become better readers, but also better writers. Okay, the most difficult part, I think, for you. Okay, but I hope with this tool you can find it easier for you and that it helps you to retell a story. Before we say what is this technique about, I want to tell you that a skill is an ability that can help you develop other learnings and other understandings, okay? This skill is going to help you to retell a story. What is to retell a story? Is to talk about it. It's what's the story about. And we are going to use this technique that is called the five-finger retelling technique because you have to remember five very important elements to retell a story. Let's begin with the first one. The first element of a retelling story technique are the characters. The characters are those who appear in the story. It could be people, it could be animals, because this technique is used mostly for fiction stories. I mean stories that are not real, that are fantasy or imaginary ones. Like Spider-Man, like Superman, like Avengers, like Harry Potter. Those are stories that are fiction. They can't actually happen, okay? So the characters are those who appear in the story. For example, the main characters can be of Superman. The main character is Superman, okay? But also the other role that he plays, Clark Kent, and the others who Superman gets along with, okay? So the characters of the story, for example, of the Little Red Riding Hood would be the little girl, the wolf, and the grandma, okay? Those are the characters. And you have to describe them. To begin to retell a story, you have to say, the story is about a little girl whose name was, and you say the name of the little girl, and then you talk about the other characters, the wolf and the grandma, and describe them. To describe them, remember to use those character traits and physical traits that talk about the character, but briefly, just a few words, okay? Then we have the setting. The setting is the place and when the story takes place. For example, the story of the Little Red Riding Hood takes place in the forest mostly, okay? Then you have to describe the problem. The problem is what's the story about, like the most important part of the story. The most important part of the story of this particular one is that there was a little girl who one day went into the forest. She wanted to visit her grandmother, and then she met a wolf in the forest. She didn't know him, and they started to talk, and that's like the problem of the story. And the main issue of it is that the wolf had another hidden intentions. For example, he didn't want to help her. He wanted her to get confused and to get earlier to grandma's place, and that way he would be able to eat her, right? That is like the main problem of the story. But you are just going to introduce it, to start talking about it. Then you have the events. In this part is where you're going to explain part by part what is going on in the story. But you have to have an order. You have to talk about it in chronological order, okay? So you have to begin with the beginning, with the middle then, and the end finally. We've been working with this part of the summarizing, but this technique is going to help you to use this technique but more complete in a more complete way. Okay? At the beginning, you have to use words like first or at the beginning. A little girl was trying to get to her grandma's place, and she was preparing a basket of food to take to her, and that's like the beginning of the story. Then you talk about the middle. The middle is like the most important part of the whole story, is where the main issue takes place. It's the conflict of the story. What was the conflict of the story between the characters? It was that the little girl, who was an innocent girl, uh, trusted in the wolf, and the wolf made her go in the wrong path that would take her longer to get to her grandma's place. That's like the most important part of the story. And then at the end, you're going to talk about the closure. How did the story end? Yes? You have to use words like finally or at the end. What happened? What was the solution of the problem? Who helped this little girl at the end? Remember that there was another man appearing into the story? Okay, that's how you're going to closure. To write these parts of the story or to retell it, at the beginning you have to use words like first, at the beginning, and those kind of words. Remember that you have to use frequent words, sequence words to help you write down a story. Then in the middle you're going to use the words like then, and then to avoid repeating words, you're going to use then, next, additionally, and at the end, finally. What happened at the end? Yes? This is a technique that will help you not only to write it down, but to retell it. This technique helps you to remember also what's the story about and to try to organize your ideas when you are trying to summarize. Okay? Don't worry, because I will send you exercises that will help you begin to retell a story part by part. You're going to learn first how to talk about the characters, then how to talk about the setting, then how to talk about this part, and how to closure, okay? Remember to use also the sentence frames that I will send you. You will only have to fill the blanks to complete the information and to be retelling a story. After you do the first one, the others will become easier, okay? So don't worry. I know you can do it, and I really believe in you. So do your best, and remember, stay safe. Bye.